Hello students, how are you doing? I hope that you're doing well within the lessons that we have taken from the beginning of the week. Now we're going to complete what we started before. We started, of course, by our tree that we have been discussing. And there are a lot of parts that we have talked in detail about. Then, if you remember, we had at the beginning of the week some kind of a discussion about communication and how communication has a big effect on our language learning in general. There is a lot that we can learn from. We have here, of course, formal and informal kind of communication. We have oral and written communication, verbal and nonverbal, internal and external, and we said that each one of them has their own special way in making you learn better and learn actually more English. Now let's talk about it more. First of all, if you remember, we mentioned something about learning English through speaking. We said that speaking is a basic learning skill in the English class and in general. So we talked about speaking and we related speaking to listening in our first lesson. Then moving on, we talked about conversation, and also having a lot of conversations with people makes us improve because you are speaking and listening to language as well. You may learn new vocabulary from the people around you. Now, simply talking with other people can help you learn more language, as we said. Now, did you notice the three words that we passed by? We had three words that they are related actually to each other. So first of all, we passed by let's talk. Then we talked about speaking, or mentioned speaking actually, that we talked about at first. And also I had another word, which is conversation. So if you think about it, talking, speaking, and conversation, they are related to each other, and you have passed by them in your lessons before, but maybe not all students are aware of the difference between the three types. So again, we have here talk or talking, we have speaking, and we have conversation. So let's see what we have here. The difference between speaking and conversation in general is going to be clear through this picture. Now, what are these men doing? So if you see this picture for the first time and you have the question, what are these men doing? The first answer that may occur to you is that they are talking. Or you can say that they are having a conversation, but you cannot say that they are speaking. So we have here basically something which is freely and spontaneously comes in mind that we have here talking or having a conversation. Now here, what is he doing? We can say that he is talking on the phone, or he is speaking to someone on the phone. Also, we have another picture here. Now here, this man, he is having, or he is presenting a speech, or he is speaking to the audience. So you can see in different situations, I used one time conversation, I used talking, and I used also speaking. Here, this man, I cannot say that he is having a conversation because he is actually just speaking. So let's see the difference between the three. Now we have here speaking in general. We have talking. Now talking, it may be having a conversation because they are talking to each other. Or he is talking, which is meaning that he is speaking on the phone. But a different part is speaking. Now speaking is making a speech, for example. So you can see that we have here three parts. They are different from each other. Now sometimes they may be similar to each other, like here. But mainly we cannot say that they are speaking. We cannot say that he is just speaking. We can say that he is speaking to someone, or he is speaking on the phone. You have to complete it. Now here, the basic idea is to differentiate or know the difference between the three words, as we said here. The three words that we have are conversation, talking, and speaking. You know now that they may apply in some places and they may not apply in others. Now we have here talking in general is discussing or talking about something. Speaking, one can do it, like the man who is giving the speech. It is a drill that may be formal, prepared in advance, and turn to a noun, which is speech. Then we have conversation that has to be between two or more than two, and conversation is usually spontaneous and informal. You do not prepare it. So the difference between a speech, that it can be prepared from the start. So when you say that I am speaking to the audience, it means that you have something prepared, you have something in mind, like now I am speaking to you. But when you are having a conversation, it is something usual that happens without even preparing for it. So why? Why are we having this kind of discussion now? Because within our lessons in the book, you do have conversation lessons, which you pass by different situations. You have other lessons, which is about speaking and how to choose certain topics or subjects and then present them in a specific way. And of course, talking is a general matter that we do all the time. Now learn how to express yourself. You know the difference now between the three parts. And within expressing yourself, of course, you can do it by talking to an audience or giving speech or speaking about yourself in general. And here, this focuses mainly on one person. And at the same time, you can interact and communicate with other people by having different kinds of conversations. So remember that you are improving your fluency through regular practice and speaking. You are expanding your vocabulary, and at the same time, you are practicing your grammar. So from now on, whenever you are talking to someone, whenever you're having a conversation, be aware that you are doing a lot at the same time. You are learning new vocabulary, you are practicing the grammar structures that you have passed by, and at the same time, you are getting used to the language by being more fluent, and you are practicing how to speak more and become better in language. Now there's something else that we want to discuss. Do you remember when we related between two things here? We related between speaking, and with it we attached pronunciation. Now pronunciation is actually something totally different. We have here pronunciation is something that, yes, is related to speaking, but it's a different kind of study. It is something different that you are going to focus, and of course it is something that you have studied before. Now we always think of what to say and arrange thoughts. When you have something to say, or if you have a certain topic that you have in mind, you arrange your thoughts. You think about what you are going to say. Even if it's something that is sometimes informal, you need to think about what you are going to say. But it rarely comes in mind how we speak. So a lot of people, yes, they think about what they are going to say, what they are going to just talk about. But how do they say it? It's something that doesn't occur always. So here we have, this is what we call here, and this is what we were talking about, which is pronunciation. So if you want to deliver your messages in the correct matter, and you want to be completely understood, you have to even focus on your pronunciation and make sure that you pronounce the words in a correct way. Now, each language has its unique pronunciation. in the Holy Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ خَلْقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ. So in each language, we have different ways to pronounce some letters. Now we have in our Arabic language, it is a very unique language that we have our own ways to pronounce our letters. Now, they may be common or they may be shared by other languages. But for example, if we say that we have al-dad or al-kha, al-dad is something that is special for us, and we have here kha is also a sound or pronunciation that is not common between all languages. Yes, it is shared, but not between all languages. So if we come and compare between our language and the English, for example, you can see that there are differences between different letters and different kinds of pronunciation. So that's why we have here in our book, we have here lessons that are about pronunciation to just make us aware and try to help us know the differences and try to get used to different kinds of pronunciations that we are not used to in our own language. Now, of course, we have here the difference between vowels and consonants. We will pass by them a lot. So it's very important to know that the differences that we have here between vowels and consonants, they are not just in grammar or when we apply something. For example, before a letter, we have here articles like a or an. Even when we are pronouncing, you have to know the difference between vowels, which we have here the 5 letters. Of course, we have here A, I, U, E, and O. And know that these letters, they have specific ways on how we pronounce them. You pronounce them, the air flows in your mouth. It's different from the consonants that we have here, and how consonants, you move your lips, you move your tongue to just pronounce the different sounds that we have for consonants. Now, these are different matters and different lessons that we took before. So we took actually in Mega Goal 4 a lot in our units about consonants and about vowels and about pronunciation in general. So we did pass by language review and we did have pronunciation practice. So from the things that we had in our pronunciation, of course, or in our lessons in general, is conversation lessons and the different situations, the different phrases, the different expressions that we use, and depending on the situation. Now, when you're asking for directions, for example, it is something totally different from the kinds of expressions you use when you try to convince something or persuade something with something that you want. A kind of discussion or negotiation is going to be different from just giving an opinion about something or agreeing or disagreeing. So conversations are actually the best way to show your opinion, to show your point of view, and to exchange your thoughts. And of course, you are practicing your language at the same time. Now, we also passed by something very important that we mentioned, which is real talk. Now, we said that real talk is a kind of informal way in English that we have here. There are certain expressions or phrases that can be used. They can deliver messages, and at the same time, they are different. They do not exactly mean what the phrase shows or appears to be. Another thing that we had was the pronunciation lessons that we have in last year's book, which is Mega 4. So just to remind you, what is the nature of pronunciation and what were the lessons that you took? Now, if you remember that we had something to recycle and use familiar stress, intonation patterns, identify falling and rising intonation patterns, and effects, for example, enthusiasm and regret. So even when you are expressing yourself, if you are feeling disappointed, if you are questioning, if you are showing your enthusiasm, or even as you have here to show your regrets, there are different ways that you can just raise your voice or intonation, or you can lower it, just to give your speech some kind of wave to show the differences, and you can be understood even from the tone of your voice what you are talking about. Also, from the things that we took, stress on 2-word and 3-word phrasal verbs. So yes, sometimes we do stress on some words. Stress on content words and function words. Stress on 2-syllable nouns and verbs. So these are 3 topics that you have passed by in Mega Goal 4, and they all concern pronunciation and how to stress on your syllables to express more and to give your speech a more live tone. We have also the Y and the J sounds, the differences between them. We also passed by the voiced and voiceless the or tha. And also we have here the B and the V sounds. They were also 3 other subjects that we passed by in our previous syllabus, and they were discussed and you pronounced or practiced a lot. So in Mega Goal 5, inshallah, we will be passing by a lot also. There are a lot of interesting things that you can know by pronunciation. So a lot of lessons, they may appear to be something which is a little bit, you can see, questioned. What's the use? Why do I have to know this? But mainly and basically, when you know that, you can be understood from your pronunciation, even from the tone of your pronunciation, it can make a difference for you. So basically, in our lesson, we talked about the 3 types. We have here talking, speaking, and conversation. We talked about the difference between them and how each one of them can help you to express and give your thoughts. And you know now that something may have or needs to be prepared for, and some other situations doesn't. After that, we come to a basic thing in your own speaking, even if it's with someone or just on your own as a speech. You have to be very aware of how you pronounce your words and how good is your pronunciation. So at the end, we have here our lesson. We took a lot about conversation in the units from Mega Goal 1, 2, 3, and 4. So they are the syllabuses that we took before in unit or in the first year and second year. And now that you are in third year, inshallah, we will be closing up with Mega Goal 5. And we have a lot to discuss and a lot of interesting things. So be ready.